News and World Reports is revealing its inaugural list of the best U.S. states this morning. Thank you, John. It gives insight into how state policies and practices affect people's lives. Rankings are based on several factors like education, healthcare, and the economy. The fifth best state is Washington. The fourth is North Dakota. Minnesota comes in third. New Hampshire places second. And the best state in the nation is, drum roll please, Massachusetts. Charlie Baker is the governor of Massachusetts. Kelly is the editor-in-chief content officer for U.S. News and World Report. Welcome to you both. So let's start with Massachusetts. Is it because the Patriots won the Super Bowl, Tom Brady, Casey Affleck won best actor, Manchester by the Sea, Massachusetts story. Is that it?
They can't seem to do anything wrong. And frankly, this has just come out and I'm already getting a little sick of them. But because enough already.
For the record, we're not sick of it.
But Brian, what is Massachusetts doing right that we could all learn from?
Massachusetts is a terrific education system, both higher ed, Harvard, MIT, that whole crowd, and K-12. I mean, the test scores out of Massachusetts are really good. They are doing the right things on that. And then you look at healthcare. I mean, places like Mass General Hospital, Brigham and Women's Hospital, phenomenal. So the economy is benefiting from all those smart people in the technology sector. So they're doing everything you're supposed to.
Quality of life?
And they've got a quality of life, and they've got a pretty good political system. I have to, the governor can tell you all about that, but they do some things right.
So, Governor, why is your state performing well in those categories?
Well, I think part of it, as Brian said, is we have a lot of really smart people. We have a lot of great schools. That has led to a whole series of terrific, what I would call, ecosystems around technology and healthcare and finance and education, and you put it all together, and in this day and age, in this kind of global economy and global world we live in, it's a terrific mix. We also do have, and I've said this before, a bipartisan approach to working together. People are okay with the ideas of compromise and collaboration, and if you look at the success we've had policy-wise in the education, healthcare, and economy spaces, energy, and a whole bunch of others, they've all been things that have been done on a bipartisan basis.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, there's a Republican governor in what's generally considered a Democratic state.
Oh, it's definitely a Democratic state. No doubt about that. But it's my mother, the Democrat, always pointed out to me.
Yeah, right. Well, Massachusetts is #1 for me because that's where my wife is from. But anyway, what I was surprised to list was North Dakota in the top 5, and a huge influx of young people there. What's happening?
Two things there. So there's there's energy development there. The fracking, enormous gains in income in a short period of time. So that's a little bit transitional. Maybe that stays, maybe it goes. But the North Dakota state government is really well run, and they do a lot of good things in terms of citizen services. So it's not just, they're just not like a flash in the pan. They've been doing this for a while. So that's a good example of a small state. They have a bonanza in revenue, but they've done good things with it.
I'm fascinated, though, by the governor when you talk about bipartisan. It's not a dirty word in Massachusetts. You were at the governor's ball recently. You were seated next to Ivanka Trump, which says you didn't have a very good seat. So there's a lot of strategery that goes into who's seating where, who's seated there. So clearly they think highly of you to sit you in that position. What did you learn talking to her at that dinner?
Well, we spent most of the time actually talking about opioids and the opioid epidemic, which is not just an issue in Massachusetts, it's been an issue around the country. And we spent a lot of time working on this on a bipartisan basis, and the plan that we actually developed and worked through our legislature, the National Governors Association recommended it to the other governors, and 46 of them basically signed on to it and said this would be a good way for us to approach this problem in our states.
And what is that plan?
It's got a lot of elements to it, but it's basically prevention and education on the front end, better training of prescribers. I mean, till very recently, you could practice medicine, you could be a dentist, you could be a nurse, you could be a physician's assistant, and never take a course in pain management or opioid therapy. In Massachusetts, anyway, you got to actually take a course and pass it now to graduate from any of those schools.
But you didn't vote in the presidential election because you said you didn't really care for either one of the candidates.
I voted down ballot, but I didn't vote at the top. And I think in some ways, my hope is that one of the things that happens going forward here is, and by the way, I would argue that a lot of the states are pretty bipartisan stuff, not just Massachusetts. I would love to see Washington move in that direction as well.
But very quickly, healthcare was a key reason states made this list. Did you send a message to President Trump when you met this week?
Well, the governors have all talked to both the vice president and the president and Secretary Price about how important health care is in our states. whether you're a Democrat or Republican, it's a big deal no matter where you are.
Governor Baker, Brian Kelly, thank you both for being